up, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. Craig Kimbrel spoke to Dodgers media, had some very interesting things to say. So did Dave Roberts. We're going to grade the trade. We have some more reaction from the Craig Kimbrel, A.J. Pollock trade. So we're going to dive into that in just a second. But quick reminder for all latest Dodgers news and rumors all season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you really want to support the channel, smash that like button. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day. What grade do you give the Craig Kimbrel, A.J. Pollock trade? Let me know down below. And also, do you think that Craig Kimbrel will be an elite closer for the Dodgers? I want your takes down below in the comment section. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So today we've got more on the Dodgers trade for Craig Kimbrel. The Dodgers, of course, they traded outfielder A.J. Pollock to the Chicago White Sox in exchange for Craig Kimbrel. Well, yesterday we asked you over on the Dodgers Nation Twitter account, how do you feel about the Dodgers trading A.J. Pollock for Craig Kimbrel? And 15.2% of you said you love it, 27.1% of you said you hate it, and 57.7% said you're fine with it. Now it's with 3,182 votes. And we're going to grade the trade in just a second. But first, it was really nice for Craig Kimbrel because, of course, the Dodgers and the White Sox, they share Camelback Ranch down in Glendale, Arizona. So he did not have to travel far. All he had to do was basically go to the other side, put on some Dodger gear. And he spoke to Dodgers media yesterday. And the first thing he talked about is how he's feeling after being traded to the Dodgers and his mindset heading into the season.
I mean, I don't think I could be any happier. I mean, you come over to a team like this that already expects to win and being asked to come in and just do my job. It feels really nice. Kind of like when I showed up to camp to do whatever job that I was going to be asked to do. I mean, that was my mindset coming into camp. Knew the situation I was in, and I mean, that's been my mindset. I think, coming over here, my mindset's going to be a little different. I'm going to be able to put some shoes on that I know that fit, and I mean, hopefully that turns into good results.
So the first takeaway there is him saying that he couldn't be happier to be on the Dodgers. Yes, it must be nice to join the World Series favorites, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Oh, and then he also said putting on some shoes that he knows that fits. And what he's talking about there is being slotted back in to the closer's role. And Dodgers GM Gomes and Dave Roberts have already said that he will be slotted back into that closer's role, and that is where he's most effective. And a lot has been made about his struggles as a setup man last year, about how well he performed with the Chicago Cubs versus how he performed with the White Sox. If you look at his numbers, they bore that out. With the Cubs, a .49 ERA, a .71 WHIP, a 1.10 FIP, a 46.7 K percentage, a 9.5 walk percentage. Opponents were hitting 105 off him, .25 home runs per 9, 23 saves, and 36 and 2/3 innings pitched. Now with the Chicago White Sox, he posted a 5.09 ERA, a 1.22 WHIP, a 4.56 FIP. You saw that K percentage drop to 36.7%, a 10.2 walk percentage. Opponents were hitting 212 off him, and he was giving up 1.96 home runs per 9, had 1 save in 25 and 2/3 innings pitched. So make no mistake about it, Kimbrel definitely had his struggles with the Southsiders, but still, if you look at his numbers as a whole last season, a 2.26 ERA, a 42.6 K percentage, that was good for third best in all of Major League Baseball. And really what it came down to is that comfort and that familiarity of pitching in the 9th inning. He just did not feel comfortable in that setup role as he did as a closer for his career. And if you look at his numbers, he's pitched 581 2/3 innings in his career, and 522 2/3 of those innings have come with him pitching in the 9th inning with a 2.01 ERA and a 4.91 opponent's OPS. You compare that to the 8th inning where he's pitched 47 2/3 innings in his career. He has a 3.21 ERA and a 6.16 opponent's OPS. If you look at last season, his 9th inning ERA was .99 with a 3.65 opponent's OPS and a .99 opponent's batting average. The 8th inning, though, a 4.42 ERA with a 6.64 OPS, an opponent's batting average of 197 and 18 1/3 innings pitched. So, look, it's clear to me he feels comfortable in that role. It's the familiarity factor. He wants to be a closer. He wants to eclipse that 400 saves mark, which he could do with the Dodgers this season, continue to strengthen his Hall of Fame case. But he answered that question about his struggles as a setup man with the White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the pitching-wise, there were some pitches that I wasn't landing, and I was getting myself into some counts where I had to tackle a little bit more. You know, sometimes in pitching-wise, it comes down to an at-bat. Obviously, over a course of multiple innings, you may say, well, you know, that just looks terrible, but sometimes it's just one at-bat that could go the opposite way, and outcomes look completely different. I think at times not being able to throw my breaking ball for strikes when I knew they were going to give it to me, not being able to do that, I think I put myself into a hole. You know, I had outings where I got out of it and threw just fine, and in other ones I weren't so well. And it's really just staying in control and making sure I can throw all my pitches.
So, yes, he did not thrive in that setup role with the White Sox. A lot has been made about that, and he has had some mechanical issues at times in the past. He's talked about yanking balls, and he just said right there not being able to land that breaking ball for strikes. And that definitely is a concern when it comes to walking batters, because that is when he does get into trouble. But what did I say yesterday? The fact that he did struggle with the Southsiders meant that his value took a hit, and the Dodgers were able to acquire him when his stock was lower. Oh, and on the flip side, they flip A.J. Pollock when his stock was really at a high. When you consider the fact that he's coming off a career-high 137 WRC plus season, you saw him perform well against the Braves in the NLCS. You know the White Sox can use a right-handed bat, but also A.J. Pollock, he hasn't played more than 117 games or made more than 500 plate appearances since 2015. So I think if you're the Dodgers in this situation, you're saying, hey, the fact that he did struggle with the White Sox allowed you to acquire him in a cash-neutral deal where you didn't have to attach any prospects, and you're trading for a closer. You're trading for a guy that is an elite closer, and you're addressing that situation. You're solidifying this bullpen. But look, if another team had traded for Craig Kimbrel and allowed him to resume his role as a closer and he continued to be dominant, or if he had stayed with the Chicago Cubs and continued to be dominant throughout the rest of the season, his value would have been much higher. And the Dodgers, they would have had to put together a much better package that included some prospects. But in this, you get that cash neutral deal, and you also bank on the fact that he is going to perform well, and he's going to allow this bullpen to be deeper. And you're going to see guys like Blake trying to go back to that fireman setup guy. He's going to go out there, be your best high leverage reliever late in games. And if you look at last season, that is when he performed at his very best. Last season, Blake Trinan, he inherited 29 runners, and just 4 of them scored. And that is where the Dodgers were dominant last season as a bullpen, not allowing inherited runners to score. They were well above league average. And then you also help this Dodgers starting rotation. Look, Ned Cleddy likes to talk about how the game's too long for the opponent. Well, with this Dodgers bullpen, the game could be too short because you got the frontline guys coming out of the front end of that Dodgers bullpen. Now you got the back end guys. You got guys performing in their roles. You also saw Daniel Hudson not perform very well. When I was down there in spring training, you had a lot of people talking about a closer by committee approach with Blake Trinan and Daniel Hudson. Well, hey, if he's not performing well, now you got Craig Kimbrel there. Now, I do understand the concerns when you talk about in 2019, he didn't perform well. A 6.53 ERA. When you look at that, a little over 15 innings pitched. He signed late, then he gets injured. And then 2020, a pandemic-shortened season, a 5.28 ERA. I'm not holding the pandemic-shortened season really against anyone. You're talking about a 60-game season, a little over 33% of a normal regular season. And then the following season, when things are back to normal, he was his dominant self again. Now, I also understand the concerns that, yes, he hasn't put together a wire-to-wire complete season since 2018 when he had a 2.74 ERA with the Boston Red Sox, but he also had some struggles in the postseason, posting a 5.91 ERA that postseason. So, yes, the concerns are valid, but you also have to trust this organization. He's going to benefit from the pitching coaching of the Dodgers. They're going to find a way to optimize him the best they can, and they're putting him in a situation where he excels, and that is as a closer. So the reality is, Craig Kimbrel at his best last season was better than Kenley Jansen at this stage of his career and last season. So yes, at the end of the day, it is a roll of the dice by the Dodgers. You definitely had to give up something to get something. You're going to miss A.J. Pollock's clubhouse presence and also his reliable hitting, the fact that he mashes against left-handed pitching. But you look at the guy that's going to get a lion's share of those reps in left, and Chris Taylor most likely. Last season, CT3, a 141 WRC plus, 6 home runs, 13 doubles, 2 triples against left-handed pitching. A.J. Pollock, a 131 WRC plus, 7 home runs and 7 doubles. So it's nice to have another all-star that you can play in left field, and you're also going to see Gavin Lux. You're going to see some other guys out there, and then you're also going to need Cody Bellinger to step up and find a way to have a bounce-back year. But look, you also have Lamb. You got Rios that can play corner outfield. Kevin Pillar might get an opportunity. And look, I really like the fact that they're betting on Gavin Lux, because when they signed Freddie Freeman, that really put the wheels in motion for this move, because you slide Max Muncy over to second base, and you know that the Dodgers, they're invested in Gavin Lux, and last year he was the opening day second baseman, so they're betting on the fact that he can produce and realize that star potential. Last week I was at Dodgers spring training, and I talked to Gavin Lux, and he has put in the work when it comes to learning how to play the outfield position. It's just about reps, it's about experience at this point, but he has that talent, he has that athleticism to become a more than solid outfielder at the big league level. So I think this is a big year for Gavin Lux, and now he'll get more opportunities to do that. Now, when it comes to giving a grade for this trade, it is a little tough without knowing which version of Craig Kimbrel the Dodgers are going to be getting, because if he's anywhere near the elite closer that he was with the Cubs last season, it's going to be an A trade for the Dodgers, because one, you address that issue, you solidify his roles in that Dodger bullpen, and then also you have Chris Taylor, you have Gavin Lux, you have a surplus of outfielders that can get it done. But at this point, he still has to prove that he can be an elite closer once again. He's gotten roughed up in spring training. In his Dodger debut, he goes a third of an inning, gives up 3 runs on 4 hits, including 2 home runs, did get the punch out. I'm not going to take too much away from that. He was hanging some breaking balls. They're going to work on his mechanics, and they'll get that right as the season moves along and as we head towards opening day. But right now, I'll give it a B. But if everything goes right, it could easily be an A, but he still has to prove that he can be a lights-out closer once again. But let me know down below in the comment section, what grade do you give this trade? Let me know down below. My name is Doug McCann. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. For all latest Dodgers news and rumors all season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.